When I was in high school, I wanted to be President of the United States of America. Actually, I wanted to rule the world, which hasn't really been working out for me. But when I was in high school, I thought if I wanted to rule the world, I first had to become the student body president of my high school, or I wouldn't have, the right credentials. But if you had seen me when I was going to Independence High School in Mint Hill, North Carolina, you never would have thought I could have been student body president. I weighed close to 300 pounds. I was fat, y'all. My best sport was Dungeons and Dragons. I walked around with a pink Garfield lunchbox that my mom packed with extra cupcakes. And I rocked this horrible bowl cut. So if you saw me, you'd probably say to yourself, look, Chaz Bono and Velma from Scooby-Doo had a Chinese baby. You would have put my chances of being student body president around the same chances of me losing my virginity. But on top of that, I was a nerd in the International Baccalaureate program, and all of our classes kept us separated from the rest of the kids that viewed us as elitist, privileged dorks. And I didn't even grow up with the rest of the kids. I lived an hour away, and I drove 30 miles every morning just to go to this magnet program. I was a nobody. And when the rest of the kids got to know me, they didn't always like it. Most of the kids were super conservative, and they went to this mega church called Hickory Grove Baptist Church that had a weekly TV show and a parking deck. I was a hardcore atheist. When I sneezed and somebody said, God bless you, I tell them God was dead. Now, in order to become student body president, I had to be one of the top 9 vote earners out of the 18 kids running for office. Now, historically, the happy, popular kids were in student government. My constituency were the freaks, the artists, the kids that wore black trench coats, and the 10 other Asian kids. I'm half Chinese. Specifically, I'm half Manchurian, a minority that invaded mainland China and ruled over the majority Han Chinese for centuries until World War II. So I was both literally and figuratively a Manchurian candidate. If I was one of the top 9 vote earners, we would decide amongst ourselves who would be president, vice president, and so on. And all the kids had to stand up in front of an assembly of the entire school and give a speech, and then everyone went back to their homeroom and voted. And everyone had to vote 9 times. Now, most of the other kids gave these shamelessly pandering speeches, like, I'm gonna get a Pizza Hut in the cafeteria. Really? What do you know about corporate partnerships? You're gonna pull some ballin' Donald Trump stuff in our cafeteria? The next year we're gonna be eating rectangular squares of pizza covered in grade B pepperoni, and there's nothing you can do about that. But then I got up and spoke. Here's my speech almost verbatim. Hello, my name is Tong. Most of you don't know me, and that's okay. You have to vote for 9 people. And the fact of the matter is that you know 4 or 5 people sitting up here, and you're probably going to vote for them. Then, with your remaining votes, you're going to vote for people based on a bunch of empty promises that you know they can't deliver. Now, I don't want you to vote for me first. I don't want you to vote for me second. I want to be your 9th vote. Vote for me last. With a vote for Tong, you can't go wrong. I won more votes than anyone else because I knew not caring about stuff was cool. Now, you may be asking yourself, how did I get the rest of the kids to vote for me for student body president? And that's a funny story. I rigged the vote. I totally rigged the vote. You see, I knew that 4 of the other kids just wanted something to look good on their college transcripts. So in a total backroom deal, I suggested that they vote for me and I'd vote for them, and we'd have a majority of 5 people. And so we basically installed ourselves as president, vice president, historian, secretary, and treasurer. And they mostly voted with me on every issue too. The 4 other kids were from the happy popular crowd, and at first they didn't understand what the Tong administration was all about. Now, if you've ever wondered what it would be like if your class president was a megalomaniacal, bitter outcast. Let me tell you some highlights from that year. The first meeting, we had to pick the themes for Spirit Week. You know, for homecoming, pajama day, inside out clothes day. Some kids made some suggestions. I moved that we abolish Spirit Week on the grounds that it was lame. It passed with a 5-4 vote. Some kids wanted to decorate the hallways to pump up the school for a football game against a rival. It failed with a 5-4 vote. We had to nominate the songs that would play during graduation, you know, the graduation song. We made the ballots and we passed them out into the homeroom. Later that day, I hear over the PA system, "John Tong, please report to the office." So when I show up, Principal Murkison wants to have a talk with me. Now, John, you know I like you. I think you're funny. But that stunt that you pulled today with the graduation song is just a bridge too far. And I know you were behind it. Well, were the votes counted? Yes, John, and your song won. Now, how do you think the hundreds of parents and grandparents are going to respond when after all the kids get their diplomas, we start blasting AC/DC's Highway to Hell? Now, I didn't get in trouble, but the principal picked Today by the Smashing Pumpkins. So in a way, we were all punished. Eventually, the 4 other kids stopped coming to the meetings, which was cool, because we still had a quorum. Now, I didn't have absolute power, but I was really good at convincing other people not to make any decisions. And this is essential if your philosophy towards student body governance is existential nihilism. Now, there was a backlash. Some rumors started getting spread around. People stopped talking to me. And there was even a petition calling for my impeachment. That still blows my mind today. This was before Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. So the only cultural reference for impeachment was Richard Nixon. I was less popular than Nixon after Watergate, you know, and that really hurt. Because I knew that there were hundreds of kids that I didn't know that hated me, and there was nothing I could do to defend myself. And unlike Nixon, because I was in North Carolina, I couldn't just blame it all on the Jews. So I did get to finish the year as president, but I even, you know, despite the low approval rating, but I did get to give a speech at graduation, and I don't really remember the words, but the subtext clearly was, I hope all of you have to stay here for the rest of your lives, because that is the worst curse I can wish for. And I left a lasting legacy. The very next year, the high school completely revamped the way they conducted student council elections. You know, I used to think that this was a funny story, but I've been thinking about it this week, and I've had a change of heart. I feel bad for whatever I did, or rather didn't do, to diminish the experience for those other kids in high school. You know, for some people, high school is the best years of their entire lives. And really, that's depressing enough, isn't it? So, you know, as I look back, I think about the fact that Independence was the 2nd largest high school in the state of North Carolina. We could have brought hundreds of kids together to paint the bleachers, or raise money for firemen, or donate our time to the community. I couldn't see that then. But I'm sure one of those happy, popular kids would have tried that kind of nonsense, you know? So, looking back on everything, I realized 2 things. First, being a leader is more than being the winner. It's about vision and character, and inspiring other people to achieve things that they couldn't possibly accomplish on their own. Second, I'm not good at any of that. Thank you.